How are you?
I think I'm doing pretty good, and like overall, I think I'm kind of getting a pretty bad case of senioritis. So,
How does it feel to be accepted into Harvard?
it's really cool for someone who like used to be really obsessed with like academic validation when I was younger. I think it's like the biggest academic validation you can get. So,
Was Harvard your dream school?
um, not for a while. It only really became my dream school last year, but before then, all I really wanted to do was get into like a okay college.
How did you get to where you are now?
A lot of mental breakdowns. But no, to be honest, just working hard, always having someone in your corner to help you. Like for me, my family helped me a lot when I was like really stressed. Taking mental health days when I needed it instead of trying to push myself. And like having a healthy outlet, like wrestling is my healthy outlet. So,
How did your family and friends react?
um, so when I got the email, I was at wrestling practice, so I couldn't check it until after. And the girls on the wrestling team, like they all were like, "Oh, let me see it," and then I won't say anything, and then when you get home and you open it, I'll text you. But I was like, no, because my mom wants to see it first. So I went home and I opened it in front of my mom, my sisters, and my dad. They were all really tired, so they weren't like jumping up and down, but they were all pretty excited for me. My mom was really excited. I cried for like a couple of seconds. And then I texted all my friends, and they were all super excited too. They were screaming, and my cousin actually called me, my cousin and my aunt, and they were screaming on the phone too, so it was pretty cool.
How has Mel supported you academically?
I think Mel, especially like my teachers, they've all kind of understood, especially like senior year, all my teachers have understood like if something is like going wrong or like I physically can't do something. They're like really lenient with that and understanding that, and they're like, oh, okay, I'll give you like an extension or something like that. So honestly, a big part of having the grades I have now is because of them.
And what other interests do you have?
So like I said earlier, I wrestle, so it's a pretty big one. But before wrestling, I danced probably maybe 5-6 years I've been dancing. So that's also another interest I've had.
How has your family supported you in this sense?
Like I said before, they're just really there for me, and honestly, that's all a person can ask, is someone being there for you. So like when I was like really stressed, which I tend to get stressed so easily and a lot, they were just kind of there and tell me like, I got it, and I just need to calm down, take a break, maybe take a day off from school, catch up on anything that I'm like behind on because I'm freaking out, and just if I'm like really, really stressed, we might just like go out, get like I don't like ice cream, so we'll get like a milkshake or something and come back and just kind of like watch movies together or something.
What's your favorite candy?
Probably Skittles.
Who's your role model?
I don't really have a role model, which I know is kind of like maybe strange for some people. I kind of just I guess if you would say I have a role model, it would just be from different kinds of people. Like people on Instagram, like I see, like for example, like if it's like with health, like lifting weights or something, someone on Instagram that I usually follow would be a role model for that. And then if it's like fashion, again, someone on Instagram. It's kind of, I don't really have like a set role model, so it's kind of just different people for different aspects of my life.
What kind of music do you listen to?
I listen to pretty much everything except, and I'm sorry for people who like country, I don't listen to country. See, that's the only thing I don't listen to. I've never really liked it, but as of right now, I think the like genre I mostly listen to is more like hyperpop or speedcore and like metal-ish, just music that's really loud, pretty much.
What do you plan on studying at Harvard?
Neuroscience and economics, and then possibly possibly like a minor in East Asian Studies or something.
And why?
As for neuroscience, well, my mom's a therapist, so I kind of grew up around books like DSM books, which is just the manual for like all the diagnoses and everything. So from like a young age, I've kind of always, been around stuff that's like in that area. And I really like science. So, mixing like a psychology with science is pretty much neuroscience. So that's kind of why I went to study neuroscience. Economics, I've always I haven't always liked it, but like recently, since probably middle school, I've really been interested in starting my own business in the future. So that's where the economics kind of comes into play. And then for East Asian Studies, I love learning about new languages and culture. So when I was in like 5th grade, I taught myself like the Korean alphabet, and like for a while I started like learning Korean, but I had to stop because I got really busy. So that's kind of where the East Asian Studies part comes in, because like the first language and culture I started learning about outside of my own was Korean, and from there it's kind of bounced around China, Japan, Russia. So I've like started learning a lot of those languages, and then I had to stop because I got busy, obviously. But the plan is to finish learning Korean and become fluent in it, as well as Japanese and Chinese. And then maybe learn a couple other languages and maybe like travel. So I plan to do study abroad to help learn, so.
What motivated you to get where you are now?
I guess if I'm being honest, before the motivation was just academic validation, because, that's kind of where, like from a young age, everyone really only paid attention to my grades. So that's the only thing I paid attention to as well. So that was really one of my big motivators until I got to high school. And then my biggest motivator was just success for me and my family.
What's your GPA?
I don't really know what it is right now with the new grades coming out, but I do know when I submitted my application to Harvard, it was a 3.97 unweighted and a 4.2 weighted.
Are you nervous for Harvard?
A little bit. I think most of all, I'm more excited. I will say, a new environment and seeing how huge Harvard is does make me nervous. Like, seeing all those people and, having to make new friends. It's really kind of nerve-wracking, but I think I'm more excited than nervous.
What are you most excited for?
Opportunities, I think. That's definitely the biggest thing, because going to a school like Harvard, where they literally having famous people from their fields come in to teach is insane. So knowing I can kind of be in the room with excellence and people who have worked hard to achieve what they wanted is really exciting. And also, for example, the wrestling team, that's something I'm really interested in, so I'm excited for that. And then Harvard has this club called Eleganza, which is a mix of dance and fashion, so I'm really excited for that too.
What do you hope to achieve at Harvard?
That's a good question. I think most of all, I'm really just wanting to, learn more about myself, because, for example, what I decided to major in neuroscience and economics and all that stuff, that's not really set in stone, not until sophomore year. So, I really want to explore more and learn if that's what I want to do. I also kind of hope that I can, get on the path to success, because everyone hears Harvard and they think, oh, you're super successful, but it's that's kind of the beginning, because worst case scenario, I drop out, or I get my degree but I can't get a job. So I'm not really finished, I'm not through the path of success. So the thing I'm really hoping to achieve is that kind of set path of success.
What message do you have left for me?
I think in general is kind of bringing more, for me, when I wanted to apply to Harvard, when I decided I wanted to apply to Harvard, I don't think there is enough opportunities and enough knowledge about applying to Ivy Leagues because, and I don't mean this to offend anyone who's applying or wants to apply to somewhere that's not an Ivy League, but applying to an Ivy League and applying to a school that's not Ivy League is like a completely different terms of what to put in your application and how to structure your application. It's a lot more calculative when you're applying to an Ivy League because you have like 40,000 people applying there a year and like they can only accept like 2,000. So I think there just wasn't enough information around how to go about doing the application. So the message I would just leave Mel with is bringing more opportunities. And they have started to do that with the Yale thing. So I'm really excited about that. But that's pretty much the message I would leave.
Do you have any advice for others who have set goals for Harvard or any other Ivy Leagues?
Yes. So the biggest thing is it's kind of a little cliche, but being yourself isn't really like the worst thing. Like people say like, oh, when they're applying to Ivy Leagues, like, oh, you can't be yourself. You have to be what they want you to be, and that's not necessarily true because you got to think about how many people apply to Ivy Leagues and how many they can accept, and you need to be different is what is the biggest thing I would say. So yeah, be yourself. Don't be someone fake, but also try and push the things that are different about you because no college wants the same 40,000 people attending their school. That's a boring school, especially for someone like a place like Harvard that puts like on their mission statement everything that diversity is what they want. So just think about being different and don't really focus on like your grades and everything because if you have like the grades are the baseline. So if you have like a 3.8-ish GPA or above, you're like good. Like you don't have to worry about it. Like and your SAT and ACT scores, I wouldn't worry too much about that either, especially if you're like applying in the next 2-ish years because I didn't even submit my score and Harvard is test optional I think for the next 2-3 cycles. So
Thank you.